Hey guys, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be doing an unboxing and I'm going to give my first impressions on the Samsung Galaxy M31. Now this phone was just released a couple weeks ago, but I just got my hands on it because I had to order it in from India. But this phone is available on eBay and the price is dropping daily. It is now at $262. But what are we getting here for just $279? Well, we're getting the four sixes, and those are a 6.4 inch Super AMOLED display, a 64 megapixel main camera, 6 gigabytes of RAM, and a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. And aside from those specs, we're getting a very similar device of that as the Galaxy A51, so we're coming in at a potentially lower price with some improved specs on the M31, which makes it a very interesting device. So let's go ahead and check out the M31. On top we have our device. Now this is definitely a heavier device, we'll talk about that in a minute. We have a USB-A to USB Type-C charging cable. We have a 15-watt fast charger, and surprisingly that's it for the box. There are no earbuds included with this phone, even though there is a headphone jack. Have our SIM ejection tool, and no case included with this phone, just paperwork. So now let's go ahead and check out the Galaxy M31. Alright, so I have the space black color here. This also comes in an ocean blue and red color. Now we have a glossy back finish on the back, which will be a fingerprint disaster, but it is the exact same color of the Galaxy S20 Ultra in cosmic black. And you'll also see that there is a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. There is no in-display fingerprint reader on this phone, but this used to be a very common feature on all phones. I liked it especially a lot on my Galaxy Note 9. It was always very quick to just go up and tap that fingerprint sensor and you're right into your phone. So for me, this certainly isn't a downgrade by any means. And on our camera square here, we have a 64 megapixel primary lens. We have an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens. We have a 5 megapixel macro lens, which lets you get really close to subjects. I've tested this on the A51. I'll show an example of a type of macro shot here now. And we also have a 5 megapixel depth sensor, which is going to allow us to have better bokeh on our shots. So it will do a good job of focusing on our subjects and blurring out the background. We have a familiar button layout with power button and volume buttons on the right side of the phone, and on the left side of the top of the phone, we have our dual SIM setup and a micro SD card slot. And quickly regarding the connectivity, this is a GSM phone, so for those here in the US, you will hear reviewers saying that it is not compatible with Verizon, but I've been using my Verizon SIM card. All of these GSM phones that people say they do not work with Verizon, so Note 10 Lite, S10 Lite, Galaxy A51, Galaxy A71, and the Galaxy A01. All of these phones, people saying it doesn't work with it. I've been using it just fine for calling and texting, so we're gonna go ahead and put that in now. On the top here, we have a teardrop design with our front-facing camera, and we have a very small earpiece. And on the bottom, we have our single bottom firing speaker, a Type-C port, and a headphone jack. Let's go ahead and check out the Galaxy M31. 6,000 milliamp hour battery. That is what gives this phone that extra bit of weight. And I know every YouTuber associates added weight with more premium feel, but it does just give it that different type of feeling like, hey, this is a sturdy, solid phone here. Something's going on a little differently. Hopefully going to give us a ton of battery life, but let's go ahead and check out the device. So first thing I see right off the bat here is that teardrop design definitely does look intrusive. It may not seem like a huge difference to you, the viewer at home, but looking at this in person here, this smaller hole punch cutout on the Galaxy A51, which is one of the smallest cutouts you'll really see on these Samsung phones, you can see the difference here in that look. You're just more inclined to look at this weird looking teardrop thing at the top of the phone. And on the A51 here, it is barely intrusive. With whatever it is you're doing, it's just really not in the way and not that bothersome. We also have just a little bit more of chin here on the bottom of the M31, but these phones are very similarly sized, as you can see here. It's just that this has a 6.5 inch display on the A51, and this is a 6.4 inch display. Also, initially holding the phone here, this has a very rounded finish. It feels very good in the hand. It is an extremely comfortable hold. It's very similar to that of the new Samsung S20 devices with how rounded they are. It has that added bit of weight. To be exact, the M31 is 191 grams and the A51 is 172 grams, so significantly lighter in weight. All right, so I have the phone completely set up now and I've been using it for a couple hours, so I want to give you guys some of my first impressions on the Galaxy M31. So starting off with the face recognition, It's honestly okay. It's not great. I feel like it doesn't work 100% of the time. When it does register, it unlocks the phone very fast, but I feel like it doesn't pick up your face every single time. So instead of using the face unlock and just hoping it works, I'm going to be using that fingerprint sensor. It's just so nice to just reach up and you're already into your phone. You can have your phone on the table, go and pick it up, and you're already into your phone. I feel like it makes up for the face recognition not being the best, and I would just prefer to use that fingerprint sensor. It's just so fast, so reliable, works great. Been watching some YouTube content here. It's been very enjoyable on the device. The volume is great. So Samsung's Galaxy A51 is the latest addition to be your next phone if you're watching this right now. In this video, if it's right for you, let's get started. So again, that notch is going to dig a little bit into your content consumption, but really watching YouTube here for about a half an hour or so has been very enjoyable. Screen size is definitely not an issue on the M31. Texting here has been great, no issues at all with that. You might be concerned about the very small cutout at the top for your earpiece, but I did just make a call and I could hear the caller on the other end perfectly clear, no issues at all with phone calls. Initial gaming here has been great. The 6.4-inch display is definitely large enough to play your games, and just again with this phone having a great feel in the hand and holding it with both your hands is definitely an enjoyable experience. Now for the cameras, we of course have that 64 megapixel lens, but we also have electronic image stabilization here on the M31, which is very nice to see. It's certainly nothing like the optical image stabilization like on the Galaxy S10 Lite, but again, at this price point, it is very nice to see some sort of image stabilization. We can also shoot 4K video here, and we have a standard and a wide angle lens as well. And as you can see here on the wide angle, you're definitely gonna get a lot more in your shot here. I'm just focused down very close on my desk here, but even at this angle, that wide angle is bringing in a ton of the table here. So definitely gonna be testing out these cameras further for you guys. We also have the live focus mode here, which is great for going in after you take the picture, and you're able to choose how much blur you would like to have in your photo. This example here is not the best, so we'll definitely get some outdoor shots in this for the full review. And of course we have our wide array of modes like we do on other Samsung devices, but we also have the macro lens here, which is going to allow us to get those really close-up detailed shots, but you do really need to be outside in natural sunlight to get the best results from that macro lens. So again, we'll test that in the full review. And then of course that humongous battery. I've only been using the phone for a couple hours here, so I can't really talk much about it here in this initial unboxing, but what I can say is that I feel like there's been much less battery drain here compared to other phones when I unbox them and you set them up and configure everything and you're completely testing the device with max brightness and playing a lot of games and doing a lot of intensive tasks to see if the phone can handle it. When I do these unboxings, it usually drains a ton of the phone's battery, but I will say it hasn't drained really that much of the M31's battery with it getting completely set up and all the works. So I'm very excited to be testing out this, especially with the 1080p screen. It should be giving us potentially 2 full days of battery life. And also just to put this into perspective with this humongous battery, the M31 is 8.9 millimeters thick, and it's actually on paper thicker than the Galaxy S20 Ultra. The S20 Ultra is 8.8 millimeters thick. So crazy to think about, this phone is actually beefier than the S20 Ultra. Definitely going to be running this phone through its full paces to see if there's anything really wrong with it, because for the price and for the specs we're getting here, it seems like a very viable option and definitely a worthy consideration to purchase. But first impressions here of the Galaxy M31, I'm obviously very impressed with this device at its price point and all these specs that it's offering. I really like the fingerprint sensor on the back. I honestly much prefer it than the in-display fingerprint sensor on these mid-range devices because it's not really super fast. It is kind of slow. It's definitely not on par with the flagship devices. I know it's minor details and Shane, it's not that big of a deal, but it is nice to just instantly get into your phone using that fingerprint sensor and you're not waiting really at all. The teardrop cutout, I wish it wasn't there, but what are you gonna do? The extra thickness and weight is definitely made up for in the very rounded edges, so it just really molds to your hand really nicely, feels really good in the hand. And just overall general use has been perfectly fine. It does have the same exact processor as the Galaxy A51, and I've been very happy with this device and have been highly recommending it here on the channel. So that same processor here in the M31 and those additional specs at a potentially lower price, this is definitely a viable option. But what are your thoughts on the Galaxy M31? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to the Shane Symonds YouTube channel today and hitting that bell icon for notifications. Hope to see you guys around for the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.